It's 1:28 p.m., Saturday, October 20th. Fall is coming. The leaves are falling. There's a nice breeze blowing. I hope that TIs are rested today, and I hope that you would continue to fight for justice. I'm going to read. I'm doing this because I'm being destroyed. To say that I'm not is foolish and a waste of time. Before they destroy me completely, I'm going to do, to the best of my ability, things that I want to do. Their mind control is failing. They're simply just harassing and torturing me and raping me, hurting me. So, the book I'm reading for is called The United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, a textbook workbook for thought, speech, and or action for victims of racism and white supremacy. If you do not understand white supremacy, racism, what it is, and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Neely Fuller, Jr., 1971. Explanation of the law of compensation. Question: what is meant by the term compensation? Compensation is a law. Compensation is a law of nature. Compensation is a law of existence. Compensation is a law of mathematics. Compensation is the law of laws. Every thought is a compensatory thought. Every word is a compensatory word. Every act is a compensatory act. A person compensates for his or her lack of ability by relying on the ability of other persons or things. People compensate for their weakness by depending on the strength of other people or things. One who tills the soil is compensated by the fruit of the soil. A microscope compensates for the limitations of the eye. So does candlelight. So does electric light. Light compensates for dark, and dark compensates for light. Heat compensates for cold, and cold compensates for heat. Sound compensates for silence, and silence compensates for sound. Existence compensates for non-existence, and non-existence compensates for existence. Quote-unquote death compensates for quote-unquote life, and life compensates for death. A flying machine compensates for a person's physical inability to fly. Writing is a compensatory process used to make up for limitations in knowledge and or memory. A school is a compensatory process through which compensatory thoughts, words, and or deeds are transferred between persons, plants, animals, etc. Religion is a compensatory system. Production of offspring is a compensatory act. Money is a compensatory tool. To eat is to compensate. To sleep is to compensate. To walk is to compensate. To talk is to compensate. To breathe is to compensate. To cry is to compensate. To ride is to compensate. To work is to compensate. To play is to compensate. There is no such thing as overcompensation. There is no such thing as undercompensation. There is no such thing as partial compensation. There is no such thing as degrees of compensation. Compensation either is compensation or it isn't compensation. The law of compensation is applicable to all that is in the known universe. A special note: it is important to know and understand that the word compensation is at best a word that can be used to describe a compensatory condition that does exist, and or a compensatory desire for a condition that does not exist and or has never existed. The use of the word compensation may or may not sometimes promote contradiction and or confusion. For that reason, both the words and the concept of compensation should, like all other words and concepts, be used to reveal truth and produce justice and correctness. Explanation of racism as related to the law of compensation. Question: How does the law of compensation relate to racism? Within the vastness of the phenomenon commonly known as space, there exists a phenomenon commonly known as the universe. Within the universe, there exist numerous bodies of massed materials of various sizes and shapes, which are situated at various distances. In their relationship in each other, upon and or within some of these mass materials, exist things which have been commonly referred to as plant life, the animal life. Some of this animal life is commonly referred to as human beings and or people. None of these people are exactly alike in the way that they are. None of these people are exactly alike in the way that they think. None of these people are exactly alike in the way that they appear to other people, because none of these people are exactly alike in the way that they are. None are exactly alike in the way that they think, and none are exactly alike in the way that they appear to other people. Some of the people sometimes treat some of the other people in a different way. The difference in treatment between people is always a result based on difference in thinking that exists among people. The difference in thinking of some people sometimes causes differences in the treatment of other people, based on the difference in the thoughts of people as regards the size and shape, height, weight, color, complexion, general presentation, general state of being of people, and or parts of people or persons. Oftentimes, some people are treated in an unjust manner by other people on the basis of color and or on the basis of factors which some people regard as being associated with color and or an idea of color. When people are treated unjustly, thank you, they are deprived of and or denied access to something of value to which they are entitled. When people are deprived of and are denied access to something of value to which they are entitled, it is correct for them to ask for that to which they are entitled. When people ask for that to which they are entitled and are refused, they are then entitled to compensation. Then people ask for compensation from others and are refused that compensation. They must then acquire compensation for themselves through their own efforts. When people seek to acquire compensation for themselves through their own efforts, they must establish a compensatory system to use as basic guide for thought, speech, and or action. When people form and function through a compensatory system, they should base that system on some form of compensatory code, which is especially designed to help serve the needs of people according to their status and or classification. Most people of the known universe classify themselves as being individual persons. Most people of the known universe classify themselves and or are classified by other people as members of a group and or as members of a combination of interrelated and or associated groups. On the basis of language, customs, religion, philosophy, economics, color, etc. Some people of the known universe have classified themselves on the basis of the non-color white. These people call themselves white people or Caucasian. Some people of the known universe have been classified on the basis of colors, non-white. These people are generally referred to as being black, brown, red, and yellow, and are collectively as being non-white people. Other people of the known universe may or may not be or may not have been classified by other labels. Those people of the known universe who have classified themselves as white people and or Caucasian and or as members of the white race and who are in need of compensation are, should be, or have been provided with compensatory codes, which are designed to serve the needs of white and or Caucasian people. Those people of the known universe who have been classified as non-white people and who are in need of compensation should be, or have been provided with compensatory codes, which are designed to serve the needs of non-white people. Any other people in the known universe who may be classified by other labels and are in need of compensation should be provided with compensatory codes, which are designed to serve the needs of those other people who are classified according to those other labels. The needs of all people are best served when their thought, speech, and action is promoted through the adoption of correct compensatory codes. No code, however, should be used to promote falsehood, non-justice, or incorrectness. All codes should help to produce justice and correctness. Some questions and answers related, some questions and answers relative to racial compensation. What is the state statute of limitations on justice? There is no statute of limitations on justice, no matter when or where non-justice exists. It should be immediately replaced with justice. How does the law of compensation relate to color? All color, shades of color, or absence of color is neutral. There is no such thing as a so-called right color or wrong color. All known color, shades of color, or absence of color have a correct claim to existence. It is incorrect to either hate or love color, shades of color, or absence of color. The action toward and or reaction to color, shades of color, or absence of color by people is always determined by the way people see themselves in relation to all people, places, things, etc. To recognize and or acknowledge the differences in color, shades of color, or absence of color, in the appearance and or in the essence of people, animals, plants, etc. is correct. To treat people, animals, plants, etc. unjustly and or incorrectly by utilizing factors associated with differences of color, shades of color, or absence of color is to contribute to one of the major reasons for the absence of peace in the known universe. General notes relative to racism and the law of compensation. If a system produces injustice, then the rules that maintain the system are incorrect. Even though these same rules, if used to maintain a just system, would be correct rules. White supremacy racism is an incorrect system that promotes injustice. Any person who willfully helps to establish, maintain, expand, or refine a condition of white supremacy and or who does not at all times strive to speak and or act against this condition is a criminal and or an agent of criminals. All comforts that come to any white person as a direct or indirect result of the practice of white supremacy, racism, are comforts unjustly received. All persons, white, who directly or indirectly practice white supremacy are equal to each other in that practice. This is the true because each individual act of racism is interrelated with all other acts of racism. This means that all white persons who practice racism in any form are equally as guilty as those white persons who practice racism in all forms. Racism, racist man, and racist woman, by functioning as the white nation, white supremacists collectively, and by acting to maintain, expand, or refine the existence of racism, have more than any other creatures in the known universe violated the natural law of compensation. By doing so, they have deliberately forced and or directed all other creatures, particularly non-white people, to do the same.